Good evening. Welcome to Live United. Living United, sharing, caring, giving, volunteering, and advocating. Today, I have the good fortune to have visiting with me Damian Licata and Jim McLaughlin from Monadnock Area Peer Support Agency. Thank you for joining me, gentlemen. It's great to have you here and some exciting happenings over at Monadnock Area Peer Support. But let's talk a little bit first about just what's been going on there, and then we'll dive into some of the new happenings.
Sure, okay. As you know, we are a peer support agency, Monadnock Area Peer Support Agency. We provide peer support in the form of groups, individual peer support, and we offer a full calendar of events, activities. We have groups that are like arts and crafts groups as well. They're not all support groups, but the support groups are really central and most important part of our mission. The idea is to provide support to enter into these mutually supportive peer relationships with individuals who have been where we've been, who understand our experience, and who can offer support that's that much more meaningful because of that. And as I said, it's a mutual relationship, so it's not about coming in and getting a service. It's really, like I said, it's about forming relationships and being part of a community, a very supportive community.
You know, it's one of the things that makes the program so unique, that it's peer-to-peer. It's people that have that lived experience, can really join with another and be giving, be supporting, be receiving too at the same time. Even though you may be in that role of being the peer mentor, I think it's probably very beneficial and rewarding for the individual as well. So it's truly what makes it unique, and this is a nationwide trend now. There's been a lot of research done around this, and they are finding that peer-to-peer support is actually one of the best ways to address some of the mental health issues, substance abuse issues as well. But we're in Mental Health Awareness Month this month.
Yes, we are.
So I really want to bring that to people's attention and the unique aspect. And we are fortunate to have a peer support agency here in the Monadnock region.
We really are. We're really fortunate. We're fortunate to have a community that's so supportive of us, and to have, obviously, the support of United Way. You know, it's really an integral part of our ability to do what we do. So there are actually, throughout this state, there are 9 agencies, one in every region, but we are all independent 501c3 organizations under contract with the state to provide these services. And it's been, you know, depending on the political climate and the sort of attitudes around peer support over the years, there have been lean years, and now we're sort of coming into, as you say, a sort of new and growing awareness of how peer support can be really an integral part of a person's wellness, overall wellness.
Well, and one of the things about it is it's effective, it's efficient, and it's cost effective.
Absolutely,
and that's one of the things that is of so much value. You know, Jim, you've been on board as a staff member over there. You're in a truly unique position now, because I'm going to have Damian talk in a little bit about some of the programs they continue to offer, but I really want you to highlight, because there's something new and exciting happening over at Monadnock Peer Support.
Yeah, we opened in October a peer support respite program for people. It's a program designed to reduce the need for hospitalization for people who have mental health issues.
And that's part of the reason I mentioned the cost-effective piece, because this is something that's really proactive, preventative for people. And you know, what's exciting about it is that oftentimes people don't need to go into a medical facility. Sometimes they need a break from life with a support system, and particularly a peer support system in place for them. Now, if someone was going into the respite, how long can they go for?
Well, the length of stay is 7 days. A person can stay the whole 7 days, and then if they need to negotiate for more time, that's available. They do not have to stay the whole 7 days. They could be there for 2 or 3 or whatever works for them to meet the goals that they're working toward.
And then I would imagine that if they do need longer-term care, that you would assist them in getting that support
Right.
beyond the 7-day respite.
Yes, and they can also participate fully in Monadnock peer support without being in respite. And while they are in respite, everything that MPS provides is available to them during the day.
So Damien, what are some of those services that MPS offers that would become part of a respite?
Well,
piece
as I mentioned, we have these peer support groups. Now, we have for example, a depression bipolar support group. We have that actually runs twice a week. Because of the demand, we added a second schedule for that group. We have a group for survivors of suicide attempts, which gives people an opportunity to talk about that experience with other people who have had that experience in a way where people are not going to be reactive to it. It's very difficult to talk about ideas about suicide with most folks. It makes them uncomfortable, or they become concerned and want to do something about it. Where really people just really need to just talk about those feelings. So it's a safe place to do that. We have trying to remember all our groups now. We have so many. What comes to mind?
Well, I do 3 groups. The Depression Bipolar group is one of them. I also facilitate a creative writing group, which I really have fun with. It was something I was hesitant about doing because I don't consider myself a writer by any means, but it has improved my writing a lot and the way I communicate with people through writing. And it's a really fun group. And some of the groups can be serious, but this one is really fun, as is arts and crafts, I think, for folks. So it's a distraction from more heavy discussions. And we also have, on Saturdays, an LGBTQ support group, which is, if I'm correct, it's the only one in the region for people with who self-identify with mental health issues and as part of that community.
Wow, so really a lot of services being offered. I do want to bring us back to the respite piece, because I'm sure with it being a new program, just recently up and running, and I know this has been in the works. You and I have been talking about it for
a
almost
long
2
time.
years now,
Right.
And waiting on the state
Right.
to help us make this happen.
This is part of in part it's come out of the state sort of got dragged into this a little bit, kicking and screaming, because of a recent lawsuit that occurred a couple of years ago. The Department of Justice and the Disability Rights Center and some group of consumers about not having sufficient community-based alternatives to institutionalization or to hospitalization, even short term. And so it sort of came in part out of that, but also I think that this is something that a lot of folks who've been working within the at the state have wanted and have been advocating for a long time. Really, it's been the legislature that's been the issue, but now, at long last, we've gotten that funding, and I think we'll see more respite centers popping up at some of the other peer support agencies around the state. So people won't have to leave their community to take advantage of a program like this. So we're really happy about that. One thing I didn't mention too that I'd like to mention is that we also offer something called WRAP, which is the Wellness Recovery Action Plan, started by Mary Ellen Copeland, who is in addition to running the Copeland Center and building up this, developing this really excellent consumer-to-consumer program, is also herself a mental health consumer, and this is a recognized evidence-based practice, and we have staff who are trained to provide these WRAP courses. Essentially, is what they are. They run about 8 weeks, We have one starting this very day, and it will run for 8 weeks, and then there'll be probably a month or so in between, and then we'll start another cycle. So I do want to mention that. So it's a really comprehensive plan, program that allows you to sort of put together an overall wellness plan, not even necessarily just having to do with mental health, but just overall. Being able to set goals and attain goals and track them and get support from your peers around doing that. So it's an excellent program that I wanted to be sure to mention.
So important in terms of life skills and in terms of remaining in the workforce.
Right.
I know you work with 18-year-olds and up right now. And with the respite program, I would imagine that becomes even an important piece of that for people to be able to think about how does that fit into my plan. You know, I might be in temporary crisis or temporary place of needing some support, but then how do I, you know, move back into my day-to-day life? So RAP probably becomes an important piece of that. What is the cost to the respite
I'm glad you asked
program?
that. There is no cost. All the programs for respite and MPS are free, and insurance is not involved in any way. So there's no charge, and it's for anyone in New Hampshire 18 and over.
We have by the way, two beds.
And that was the other thing I was
Yeah.
going to ask. So how
Yeah.
many people can be housed at a time in the respite?
Yeah,
So
there-
2 people?
Right. Yes, there are 2 spaces in our barn. We have almost like a little apartment. There's a small bedroom with a kitchenette and their own bathroom, and that's private from the rest of the house. And the front of the house, there are 2 rooms upstairs in the front, a bedroom and a sitting room, and that person has access to the kitchen downstairs and the bathroom downstairs.
What else do you want people to know about the respite program, Jim?
Well, that it is an alternative to possibly going into the hospital. It's a place where people can get support. It's a non-clinical setting, which is very important for both MPS and the respite. That all someone needs to do is self-identify with a mental health issue. We don't ask what their diagnosis has been. That's not important. It's more important for us to help a person move toward what they want toward wellness and feeling better. So it's a safe, non-judgmental, non-clinical setting.
So how does a person, for either one of you, how does someone self-refer themselves to the respite program? You know, I'm in need of assistance for the weekend, and do I call Damien? Do I call Jim? Do I show up at your doorstep?
All of the above.
Yeah.
You can just call our number at Monadnock Area Peer Support, which shows up on the screen, I think, occasionally, but it's 352-5093. And you can ask for any staff person can assist you in that. Ultimately, you will be talking with Jim. And what happens when they talk with you, Jim?
Well, then I meet with them and we set up a plan for how they feel that respite is going to be useful for them, and what their hopes and needs are for their time there with us, and how we can support them to reach those goals. We don't assign anything. We don't say, this will be good for you, you should try this. It's more what the person wants to do to support themselves, and we're there to assist them by supporting them. But it's not a place where they might be used to therapists or other clinical type settings where it's recommended that you do A, B, and C because I think it'll be good for you and you'll be better. Here at Respite, it's more deciding what works best for you and on your own time frame.
Right. It's really a mutual exploration that you get to do with the Respite staff. It's staff 24 hours. So there's always somebody there. And so you get the opportunity to, at any time, and sometimes we do some of our best thinking in the middle of the night, and it's a time to be able to sit down with somebody and sort of, share those thoughts and talk about those things and what's going on. I think what's important to understand is that this is the crisis respite is really informed by the philosophy that and I called it crisis respite, even though what we call it is peer respite, because you don't need to be in crisis per se. But but we really view those difficult points that we all reach in our lives as opportunities, but we don't see those opportunities for what they are very often. And so it's really important to be able to get a perspective on that, to be able to explore with somebody, okay, what does what's going on with me right now, what meaning does that hold for me? What lessons are there in that for me? What is it trying to tell me? And those are important kind of big questions that you don't really get to think a lot about usually if you're just in a medical setting where it makes sense to be if you need things like a med adjustment or something like that, but beyond being sort of taken out of your life in sort of the same way, there are a lot of things that respite can do that are not going to happen in the hospital.
And it's also a place where people are not, it's not a locked facility. People can come and go as they choose. They can keep their appointments with other workers if they have therapy or meetings that they need to go to. We don't ask people where they're going, when they're going to be back. The only thing we want to make sure is that it's safe for them at night and that maybe the doors are locked so that they can feel safe there. But they can still go out in the middle of the night if they need a breath of fresh air or something. To relax them.
And this has been open only for a short time right now, but you've already had people utilize the service. Do people come in and maintain their jobs, for example? They still go to work during the course of the day, but they have that support system.
Right.
They
that
certainly
need
can
around them.
if they want to or if they need to. Absolutely. We haven't had somebody in there yet who has had an outside employment, have we?
No.
No. But it's certainly not outside the realm of possibility. We certainly have people who utilize our system who work. So, so there's no question that's something they can do. For some folks, it may be more stressful for them to not be able to go to work, and for some they might just really need that break from work. So it's really something that we have a conversation. What are their hopes for their stay? What do they want to achieve? And so we can make sure that folks get what they need.
So, Jim, what do you really want people to hear about this respite program? Because it's important that our community know who it's open to. I think, and we do need to highlight that I believe it's 18-year-olds and up.
That's right.
Is there anything else people should know about, coming in? You can be male, female. You can be pretty much anyone, as long as you're 18 years or older.
Exactly. It is open to anyone who's a New Hampshire resident. The only question would be, do you self-identify as having mental health concerns? But again, we wouldn't ask what those concerns are. It would just be self-identifying. And it can be male, female, or
anything in between.
Or anything in between, yes.
And what about our vets? Because I know there's a lot happening in the state of New Hampshire, here in the Monadnock region, around how we serve our veterans. And is that a population you're doing any special reach out to, or that you want to make aware of this respite service?
We will be reaching out to veteran programs, but we haven't done that yet. But they're more than welcome to seek respite if that's something that would work for them, or the agency as a whole as well.
I'd like to say something too. To anybody out there who's running an agency that provides any services to a population that we serve in common, to please give us a call, ask us. We would be happy to come out to you, do a presentation, let you know about us, give you all those details, and assist you in making any referrals. We can talk directly to a group of individuals that you serve, or we can talk with your staff, or both. So I want to make sure that you can call that same number if you need that, 352-5093. Ask for Jim and I, and we would be more than happy to come out and talk with anyone.
And does that include employers? That if
Yes.
employers really want their employees to be aware of wellness programs, things that can support their employees?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep. And I do a support group also at the jail as part of our program. We have, there's 2 groups right now that we do off-site. There's the one that I do at the jail, and there's another one that we do in Peterborough once a week. And so we also have made a point of letting everybody know who attends those groups and the staff there about the existence of this program, because it's also can provide a nice transition for some folks. I do want to mention one thing that this reminds me of, though, is that if there's one sort of disqualifying criteria, if you can call it that, it's homelessness. Unfortunately, if you're homeless, we can't let you come into the crisis bed and then discharge you back onto the street. And the other issue is, and this has come up with other respite programs around the state, is that oftentimes people will use it as a temporary shelter. And that's going to take the bed away from somebody else who really needs it for other things. So that's the only thing I want to mention.
And I was actually going to ask that question because I would anticipate that could be an issue that you might run into. It makes sense, and we're fortunate here in the Monadnock region to have the 100-night shelter, to have Southwest Community Services providing housing stabilization, to have Keene Housing. They've just initiated, I know, a joint new program for veterans to really address the homelessness piece. So, an opportunity certainly for all of our agencies out there to be collaborating with each other, because everybody provides a little unique piece, but when we put that all together, it's really what makes a difference for all of our citizens. So, this is an important piece. Go ahead, Jim.
And I think the respite guests could also go to the community kitchen for meals. If we don't have the food, or they don't bring their own food with them. So that's available too.
And of course, the community kitchen is one of the significant partners right now with many of the agencies. We have probably the highest rate of people receiving food that we've ever had here in the Monadnock region in the last year. That and Meals on Wheels is serving more than ever. There's just many programs around our basic needs. Anything else, Damien, that's happening there? Or Jim, if people wanted to be a part of this, lived experience is a piece of that. They can come to you and they can be trained to begin to be part of these, and then really volunteer their time and again receive the benefit of participating in that, at the same time helping someone else. Is there other needs that you have as an organization, either around the respite program or any of the programs you're doing?
Well, we have our newsletter, by the way, which comes out once a month. It's called the Butterfly Bulletin. Always has a wish list in it, and you can find that all over the community. We leave that all over town, and you can also, if you're interested in getting a copy of that, again, you can call that number. We can send you a hard copy of it, or we can send you a electronic copy of it, which is nice because it's in color. I was saying what was I saying?
Well, I was asking if you had any special needs, but I'm thinking like with respite, do you need sheets and bedding and, supplies for personal supply items, toothbrushes, things like that?
Yes, we would like to get a small dorm room refrigerator for one of the spaces. We could always use new sheets and towels, things to hang on our walls that are inviting and uplifting and not dreary, dark colors, kind of lighten up the space some. Some area rugs for the floor, and personal care items for both men and women, like soap and shampoo and razors and feminine products, whatever someone might need that they can't afford to take care of themselves.
And we have something called Marla's Cabinet, which is just that. It's a large cabinet closet that we have in our building that has a lot of those personal care items, things that people can't get with food stamps, for example. And it's just take what you need, leave what you can kind of thing. But anybody who would like to donate any of those kinds of items will go in there, and those are also, as we say, those are available for respite guests too. So that's something that we are always needing to restock. So And, if you stay at a hotel, grab all of those things out of the bathroom and bring them over. Or if you pick something up at the store, get one extra. It would be just really so helpful.
So
And we would also
go ahead,
take,
Jim.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we would also take food donations as well. We get a weekly box from the community kitchen, but their funds are limited, as we know.
And we have a very small food budget of our own.
Right, so any donations that RESPA guests could have dinner or they could eat during the day for lunch and breakfast would be very, very helpful.
And I know you do the community gardens
Yes.
over there, but we're not in garden season right now. So it becomes even more important for
Right.
those donations to come
Yeah,
in around
That's right.
that.
We do get a lot of our fresh produce that we grow ourselves in those beautiful vegetable gardens that we have. Thanks to Antioch, New England, that's really helped us get that going. The other thing about food is that while we're talking about that, we do on Thursdays have a community lunch, community meal that everybody gets together and prepares together. We sit down and enjoy, and then everyone pitches in to clean up afterwards. But it's a great time to come by if you just want to sort of see what the place is like and what it feels like as a community, because there are usually a lot of people there because it's a meal. But it's also you get a sense of how we work together and just what it feels like. If anybody is interested in coming in there or curious about it, I would recommend that they just do that they just come anytime really, and just see how it feels. Talk to a staff person. There's no pressure to do anything. At any point, all of the participation in any of our groups or whatever is entirely up to you, what level of participation you choose. So,
And you're located over on Beaver Street.
Yes.
I would imagine that people here in Keene,
yes.
I would imagine that people could also have an opportunity to see the respite
Yes, yes.
location, as long as nobody's in the
That's right.
utilizing that
Right.
space
Yep.
at the time.
Right.
But a great resource here now in the region, and it's worth people seeing that, because this is new. And we do have it here in the Monadnock region, I think before some of the other regions across the state.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So a great opportunity to go and visit that. You mentioned the need for personal care items. I do want to say that people can directly give to Monadnock Area Peer Support by bringing those over. But, and you may not know this yet, but the United Way has a shoebox project going on where we have people putting together shoeboxes full of personal care items that'll be going out to the agencies. And
Oh, how nice.
so that's going to be an ongoing volunteer project. So audience, if you're looking for a way to support organizations like Monadnock Area Peer Support and want to be able to put those personal boxes together, you can contact the United Way, or you can contact Monadnock Area Peer Support directly to see what their needs are. But we'll be happy to help your group put together a shoebox project.
That's great.
That'll donate out. So some great things happening. Anything else you want the public to be aware of, either of you? It is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Well, I read an email that was preparation for this show today, and I really liked the concept of how United Way works together and supporting each other, and that's what we do as well. That even respite guests can do that for each other. They don't have to just talk to someone who's on staff. They can get a lot of support from someone who's going through a similar situation, and the members during the day as well. So it is a community of people supporting each other, as the United Way does.
Thanks. Do you have visions for the future, Damien? You've got this new respite program.
Of course I do. This has sort of been the sort of thing I was going to say. If before I ever retire, whenever that may be, I want to make sure that respite happens. Well, now it's happened. So I have an eye.
Doesn't mean you can retire, though, Damien.
No. I'll probably be doddering around there with a walker. But no offense to those who do that, but we have a fairly new board. We've gotten a lot of great energy on our board in the last, I would say, couple of years, and particularly in the last year. We had a longtime board president, Bruce Hart, who we had for many years. who has left the area, and so we have a new board president and all new officers, and very energized, very enthusiastic, really strong believers in our program, and wanting to learn more and more about peer support all the time. But one of the things that is going to be their focus and our focus going forward is a sort of renewed and new attention to fundraising. So our facility, we're in a very old building, and it definitely has, we've not been able to maintain it or make improvements to it the way we would like. So you'll be seeing probably more and more fundraising initiatives coming out of our program. We just recently had an auction on our Facebook page, but that was sort of like, see how that goes, what that feels like. And next time we do that, it'll be on a much larger scale. And but we're also talking about things like a capital campaign, because we need to replace our windows. They're it's a very porous building. There's a lot of communication to the outside. So I'd really like to get some new windows there. There's some interior painting and things like that need to be done. We did recently, fortunately, get the house painted, but we needed to refinance our mortgage in order to do it. That was now a couple of years ago. The kitchen is woefully inadequate. Really needs to be updated, everything in it. So a remodel for that is the sort of thing. And those are the kinds of things that I'd like to be able to see happening, is to be able to create an even more welcoming environment for folks, and to be able to accommodate some expansion of the program. Because now that we have respite there, we currently have a private tenant in the upstairs of our main house. And that's been a great source of revenue for us. But we would love to be able to take that space over at some point in the future, somewhere down the line, and dedicate that to the respite program entirely, and it will be completely self-contained and all together. I would really love to see that happen. And I'd like to be able to, our membership is expanding all the time. We're up considerably from where we were last year at this time, and that's been happening every year now for the past few years. So we want to be able to utilize our space as efficiently as we can. We like our location. And it's a mortgage, but we own the property, so we don't have we don't have to pay rent. We don't have a landlord. But the disadvantage of that is that we are responsible for maintaining that property. So that's kind of where my focus is going forward.
So good news that people are finding the resource and becoming part of that. What can we be doing proactively, though, so that hopefully people don't end up needing respite, people don't end up needing Monadnock area peer support? As much as we love you, it would be much better if
Right.
Not as many people needed it as currently do. And I think about our young people in particular.
Yes.
And when I think about the vision for the future around
Right.
that, what can we be doing around peer-to-peer support that's maybe more proactive and preventative for
Right.
people?
I would love to see more programs, more peer programs for younger adults, and adolescents. I think that's probably one of the biggest gaps in our in the service that we provide. We've been hoping to get some initiatives started with high schools or with the college, and it's been a challenge to get into those spaces, but we're still working on that. But there's also other initiatives in the community, I think, where people are focusing on that we're being part of, and which will have a peer component to it. So I think we're going to see it more and more. As you said, there's more and more appreciation for peer support for all populations. So So I do want to see more of that, and we want to be part of that.
And I know Jude is actually part of helping plan that here in the Monadnock region.
That's right.
Because she and I serve on the system of care planning group. And
Right.
it's really looking at that peer-to-peer element
Yes.
for our young people, in particular, those under 18. But then I think about respite. You know, sometimes that's a group that needs respite too. So I'm sure this is something, Jim, you better be ready, because I have a feeling it may be something that grows a bit. You know, we're still in challenging times where people have a lot of emotional distress in their lives and sometimes need that break from that day to day. And I think respite, as people become more and more aware of it, and that it's an opportunity not to go into hospitalization and just to get some support on a temporary basis, I think we'll see respite probably grow substantially here in the region.
Yeah. Yeah.
So exciting to, thanks, Jim, for being there and being on board with this. And Damien, of course, providing the leadership around making this happen. I know it's been a little bit of a long haul with the state and required quite a bit of advocacy to make this happen, and been a little bit of a battle. I want to remind you, audience, that you have an opportunity to give. You can give directly to Monadnock Area Peer Support or through the United Way. They're one of our agencies that we do support through your donor dollars, and to also think about what you can give that's non-financial, things like towels and sheets and personal care items. These are all things that you could drop off at Beaver Street. I would encourage you to make sure you call ahead and check in with them before dropping off items, and to make sure they're good quality items and that they're not used, especially because they're personal hygiene items. So, and also an opportunity to advocate. We continue to need good programs like this. We need peer-to-peer support. We need respite programs. And this, we have it now. Now it's about sustaining it and keeping it. And sometimes that can be a battle here in New Hampshire and other places. So we want to make sure you become a part of really being the voice that raises this program up and keeps it happening here in the Monadnock region. And go ahead.
I just wanted to say one other thing also to folks, and that is that there is as part of this sort of renewed interest in peer support, folks are more and more interested in learning about it, and also learning about how effective it is. There's a bill that's recently being introduced, which I want to mention, in the state legislature, which is going to establish a committee which is going to look into these very questions. What does peer support look like in New Hampshire right now, long term? How effective is it? And they're putting together a group of folks to serve on that commission, and I hope to be a part of that, or somebody from our peer support system in the state. Right now, they haven't included that in the list, so this is what happens. So we're going to need to talk with them about that. But in the meantime, I would encourage you to contact your state legislatures, and please let them know how important you feel peer support is. And if you've taken advantage of it yourself, or you know someone who has, let them know how that has benefited them in their lives. Because I think that makes a big difference to folks when they're asking these questions, is they really want to hear from people in their constituencies, and they want to hear those success stories. So contact your state legislatures, because now their attention and their focus is on peer support. It couldn't be a better time.
And I'm expecting we're going to have some great success stories because of the respite program, because my guess is people getting that need fulfilled on a temporary basis will make such a difference in their lives and their ability to continue in the workforce and maintain their daily lives. So it's such a critical need now being filled here in the Monadnock region, and how lucky are we to have that opportunity. So I want to thank you both for joining me. I do want to remind you, audience, that you can visit Beaver Street, see these programs in action, learn more about them. It sounds like you can also be trained a little bit to help you understand what they are. And if you're somebody with lived experience, great opportunity to connect with others who are sharing that experience and to be part of a group or an art program. It could be more recreational, really depending on what your needs are. And that's one of the unique qualities here is you're met wherever you are. And I want to encourage you to contact Monadnock Area Peer Support directly, and I'll have Damien give his phone number one last time here and website. Or you can contact 211 and you can receive a referral through 211 for the respite program or Monadnock Area Peer Support. So
Right.
Damien, your phone number and website.
Once again, the phone number is, it's 603 obviously, and it's 352-5093. And the website is www.monadnockpsa.org. Also, in terms of what you were just talking about with wanting to volunteer or wanting to come in, and we bring in people from the outside to do presentations. Once a month or so, we have somebody come in and talk about whatever their interest is or what they think might be interesting to folks or people from other agencies. So you can talk with Jude. You mentioned Jude. It's Jude Grofier is her name. jgrofier@monadnockpsa.org. If you have questions about our programming or if you would like to find some way in which you can volunteer.
So super, great opportunity to get involved. Audience, I want to remind you to remember that we all need to live united, and we live united in many different ways with many different issues going on in our lives. Here's an opportunity for you to give, to volunteer, to advocate, to be part of Living United. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
You're welcome.